Selecting an insurance provider for your business is a big decision.
We know how important your company is to the community.
Alford & Associates can manage your insurance. It's our job.
Alford & Associates, benefiting your employees and protecting your business.
Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of HTV's Louisiana and Beyond.
And tonight we present part two of our look at the history, the inner workings, and the great success of the South Lafourche Levee District.
Our guests in this program include Nick Matherne, Keith Guidry, Colonel Scott Autin, and Angela Hidalgo.
Also featured tonight are Mitch Orgeron, Congressman Steve Scalise, Stevie Smith, and Justin Lane.
And in our guest segment this week, we are pleased to welcome Chet Chesson and the Greater Lafourche Port Commission as one of our program sponsors.
All of that coming up on Louisiana and Beyond.
Louisiana and Beyond is brought to you in part by Edison Schwest Offshore, Bollinger Shipyards, Crosby Tugs LLC, Grand Isle Shipyard, Greater Lafourche Port Commission, Nichols State University, and Sea Level Construction.
Edison Schwest Offshore is more than a fleet. We're an interconnected network of vessels, logistics hubs, and a fast-growing workforce of over 19,000 dedicated professionals across the globe. From the United States to Brazil and the Middle East to Southeast Asia, Schwest provides cutting-edge solutions to a worldwide community. And in the face of evolving demands across the industry, we are committed to operating as the best in the world.
When it comes to marine towing, Crosby Tugs has over 40 years of experience. We have the know-how to safely assist ships into and out of their berths, escort oil tankers quickly and safely, tow ships, respond to fuel spills, and work in extreme conditions. Founded in 1977 by Vinton and Kurt Crosby, we are one of the largest privately owned marine transportation businesses in the industry. If it's on the water, let Crosby be your transporter.
At GIS, putting people first has always been our thing. As we always say, our people are our most important assets. With over 20 office locations, we deliver innovative solutions across 4 key markets: energy, industrial, infrastructure, and power. Our 4 main service groups house over 20 service capabilities, supporting projects from start to finish. We're proud of our legacy and even more excited about what's ahead.
Welcome to Bollinger Shipyards. For nearly a century, our family of skilled shipbuilders has driven innovation and excellence, creating some of the world's most advanced vessels. Today, we are at the forefront of our industry and redefining the future of naval warfare. At Bollinger, we turn challenges into opportunities and careers into legacies. Here, you're part of something bigger. Any yard can build a ship. We don't just build ships. Together, we're building the future.
In a world where you can choose to be anything, who do you choose to be? At Nichols State University, with over 70 distinct degree programs, we believe our students can be anything. Be an artist, a chef, a journalist, an educator, a lifesaver. But no matter what you choose to be a colonel. Be more at Nichols State University.
And welcome back to Louisiana and Beyond and our continued look at the South Lafourche Levee District.
Well, the Levee District's 5-meal property tax was successfully approved by voters in late June. And Executive Director Nick Matherne reminds us of the district's origins and how it's funded.
Our system was approved back in 1965 as a federal project, and so we did get some funding from the Corps of Engineers to start the levee system, but we were only authorized in 1965 to a height of 8.5 feet on the north end of La Rose and 13 feet on the south end in Golden Meadow. And you look at a storm like Hurricane Ida, had we stayed there, I mean, there would be no more South Lafourche. And so over the years, the South Lafourche community, the residents and the business owners realized the importance of continuing to support ourselves, not waiting for the cavalry, especially after Hurricane Katrina, when the New Orleans and Vicinity Project got $14 billion from the federal government to improve that system. And South Lafourche Levee District got exactly $0 from the federal government.
Right.
So right on the heels of Hurricane Katrina, the people in South Lafourche decided, look, that we've been supporting ourselves, but we need even more, because obviously we see the importance more than the federal government does at this time, or did at that time, and we're having some good conversations now to try to increase some of that assistance that we can get for future construction. But at the time, in 2006, the taxpayers voted in a 1 cent sales tax by an 82% margin. I can't think of a single other tax that passes by that kind of. It just shows the commitment that the people of South Lafourche have had to this levee system and its continued success.
I really value working, with both the Lafourche, North South Lafourche Levee districts. Dwayne and Nick are great partners, but I can see that they brought that up front. They're ready to do that, and I'm glad we're able to meet them now and continue this as a team.
First of all, everybody knows, water knows no boundary. So why should levee districts know a boundary, right? It's very important for us to work together, and we are brothers and sisters united front, and it's why we've gotten so much, funding. And we go to Washington together, and we're lock in step with each other. We make sure that, whenever our levee system ties into, for example, South Lafourche's levee system, we're working hard to make sure that, if our levee's at 22 feet and his levee's at 6, that's a problem, right? So we need to make sure that we're all kind of unified in the same front, again, in the fight for our community. So the relationship that we have with North Lafourche, South Lafourche, and even Grand Isle, even though we're not connected to them, it's still a united front. And I think that's why Louisiana has such a strong voice.
Congressman Steve Scalise hosts an annual energy roundtable for his colleagues down in South Lafourche.
And at this year's event, Lafourche Parish President Mitch Orgeron reminded those assembled of his career track and the importance of coastal restoration in the parish.
And then spent 20 years in industry progressively, and went up into leadership and then came into government. But I have to say, without the support that you have provided, Leader Scalise, particularly with the changes that occurred very recently in Go Mesa, where we saw an extra $600,000 coming to our checking account on Monday, thanks to you and the operators' efforts offshore producing oil and gas, that is going to make a direct impact, not just economically, but in our coastline. And without the operators partnering with us on a routine basis, I want to say routine basis, whenever we talk about coastal projects, that they are there. Chevron's there, Woodside's there, Shell's there, all the other operators I didn't mention. And that is because they care about our community. They want to remain invested in our community. And I can't say how much we appreciate their efforts in addition to the efforts that you make. We consider ourselves the working coast for a reason. And that's because not only do we deliver energy, we deliver the assets that help keep our country safe, and we can do it at a better cost than anybody else. And that's why we're always asking you to continue to invest in our communities. Thank you.
And by the way, they've taught the Corps of Engineers, they'll build levees for 25 cents on the dollar for what the versus what the Corps spends. And the Corps, for a while, wouldn't certify their levees. So I got the head of the Corps to come walk the levee, and I said, under your guidelines, this doesn't even exist. And I said, not only are they here, didn't flood during Katrina, Rita, all those storms, they built them for 25 cents on the dollar. If y'all built your levees that failed the way they built theirs, New Orleans wouldn't have flooded. And then about a week later, they certified all the levees. But
that's a very good statement, because we have so much of our young people that are not wanting to stay anymore. But, there's so much opportunity down there with Port Fourchon and Loop and the Danos and the Schwest families, that there's a great job. You could graduate high school and get a good job down there. So, and the protection is there. We've And people ask me often, well, I thought the levees were built. We still see, we work every day. You know, the levee sinks some, but we keep it at our maximum height. And as long as this continues, I feel very confident with our Leon Terrio locks, our Adam Ted Gisclair floodgate on the north side, and hopefully eventually a lock on that north side. Feel very good about it. It's a great place to raise a family. And we're all the same. Cutoff, Pointe-Chien, Chauvin, we're all the same people, Houma. So it's important to protect everybody. And with what having Gordy in his position now is tremendous. That's going to help this area. Gordy is so passionate about his job and his responsibility. So we're so excited about what's in our plans coming up to improve.
2 stories of hurricane recovery in Lafourche Parish are coming later in the program from Stevie Smith and Justin Lane.
And after the break, we hear from Chet Chesson from the Greater Lafourche Port Commission in our guest segment.
Sea Level Construction is a trusted heavy civil contractor delivering turnkey solutions to the Gulf South. From large-scale infrastructure and power distribution foundations to marine construction, driven piling, specialty foundations, structural fabrication, structural concrete, site development, heavy equipment maintenance, vessel repair, and inshore tugboat services. We also design and supply helical piles nationwide, delivering reliable foundation solutions. Call Sea Level Construction to set the foundation for your next project.
At GIS, putting people first has always been our thing. As we always say, our people are our most important assets. With over 20 office locations, we deliver innovative solutions across 4 key markets: energy, industrial, infrastructure, and power. Our 4 main service groups house over 20 service capabilities, supporting projects from start to finish. We're proud of our legacy and even more excited about what's ahead.
Welcome to Bollinger Shipyards. For nearly a century, our family of skilled shipbuilders has driven innovation and excellence, creating some of the world's most advanced vessels. Today, we are at the forefront of our industry and redefining the future of naval warfare. At Bollinger, we turn challenges into opportunities and careers into legacies. Here, you're part of something bigger. Any yard can build a ship. We don't just build ships. Together, we're building the future.
Edison Schwest Offshore is more than a fleet. We're an interconnected network of vessels, logistics hubs, and a fast-growing workforce of over 19,000 dedicated professionals across the globe. From the United States to Brazil and the Middle East to Southeast Asia, Schwest provides cutting-edge solutions to a worldwide community. And in the face of evolving demands across the industry, we are committed to operating as the best in the world.
For more than 65 years, the Greater Lafourche Port Commission has been an important fixture in our community. From humble beginnings in 1960 to a modern-day cornerstone of global commerce, specializing in all things energy-related, we have worked alongside you, our neighbors and partners, to build a brighter and more prosperous tomorrow. Together, we have weathered storms, embraced innovation, and celebrated meaningful milestones. Here's to the past, present, and future of a thriving Lafourche and Louisiana.
In this week's guest segment, we are pleased to include the Greater Lafourche Port Commission as one of our program sponsors.
Chet Chesson is the Commission's Executive Director, and he starts with its history down in Port Fourchon.
Our Senator A.O. Rapollet for our area, who came up with the idea and got the law passed to create the Greater Lafourche Port Commission.
And he's the gentleman in the middle, right?
There you go. That's top center, Senator A.O. Rapollet. He again was able to get the Greater Lafourche Port Commission law passed, right, so that we could create the port. And he did that because he knew that the banana trade was leaving the port of New Orleans, and he said, I think I can get the banana trade to come to Port Fourche. So they built a dock that we still affectionately call the Banana Dock in Bayou Lafourche, right off of NJ Terrio Road, right at the end. It's now a fuel dock.
Correct me if I'm wrong, like 250 different companies in the port. Is that correct?
Port that do something in the port, that depend on business of the port. Directly, we have over 160 different leases on about 2,000 developed acres and about 98,000 linear feet of waterfront, serving the daily needs of the offshore energy industry for exploration and production.
And again, keep making people clear. You see an aerial map or you know, if you're looking from a drone, like straight down, the port itself is not that huge. Is it like, how many square miles if you kind of measure it out? I mean, it's not really,
well, I mean,
that huge.
It's not that huge when you think about, you know, when we gauge like the Mississippi River and so many miles of river. I think the Port of South Louisiana is 70 miles of the Mississippi River, right? We don't have that in the port, but with all of the different slips that we have, you know, Flotation Canal connected to Bayou Lafourche to Belle Pass going out to the Gulf, but the East Slip, the Old Pass Fourchon, and our northern expansion of slips A, B, C, and now newly developing D, it's, you know, again, pushing 100,000 linear feet of waterfront that just doesn't exist anywhere else along the Gulf Coast when it comes to servicing the daily needs of the offshore energy industry.
Exactly. And it's just unbelievable. And again, talking about the offshore, you know, service industry, over 95%, right, of Gulf of America deepwater energy, you know, production.
That's correct.
Is served out of your port. Is that right?
That is correct. It's actually 100% of the deepwater assets now in the U.S. Gulf are serviced out of our port. Our tenants do a great job as providing the best possible, most efficient services to the offshore energy industry in the Gulf.
And I can remember in years past, again, it's called Belle Pass, and as the boats come in from out of the Gulf and they go, you know, into Port Fourchon, I know there had been issues in the past, perhaps silting and the depth. Is that a problem today? Will likely be a problem in the future? How are things in relation to that?
Yeah, so fortunately enough, we don't have a major siltation problem with Belle Pass and Bayou Lafourche, due to the fact that there's no source of sediment coming like the Mississippi River or Chafalaya or Cowsher Ship Channel for that matter. They have sources of sediment through the movement of their waters coming in. We don't have that, right? So when we have issues with sedimentation, it's because of a storm that comes in and pushes that sediment in. So we're very fortunate for that fact. We work very closely with the Army Corps of Engineers. They maintain Belle Pass, the channel, and Bayou Lafourche up the Flotation Canal. They maintain that channel. The port is responsible for maintaining the rest of those channels off of the main, you know, Bayou Lafourche. So we work very closely with them. And look, I'm excited about the future because, in fact, hot off the press, our 30-foot report, our feasibility study, has been fully approved. It was authorized in Water Resource Development Act, or WRDA, of 2020 through Congress to go to 30-foot a draft with 3-foot advanced maintenance to 33. Then we had some conditions. We had to, you know, do some more things with that report. That has finally been completely done and approved. Just last Friday was submitted from the Office of Management and Budget, or OMB, to the Assistant Secretary of the Army's office at the Pentagon.
Right.
Basically saying, hey, we're good with what the report, the letter report that the Corps produced after we did the feasibility report. So that has, again, OMB has completed their review. They said, we're fine with it. Sent it back to the Assistant Secretary of the Army's office to say they're fine. And now the ASA's office is now writing their letters to Congress, basically saying, hey, this report, this feasibility study, this deepening for Port Fourchon is good. They have satisfied all the conditions that were part of the authorization language in WRDA 2020. So we're good to go. It's done. So now we can move forward with the Corps, as well as some other things in getting our projects started to dredge to 30 feet with the 3-foot advanced maintenance to 33.
We thank Chet and his board at the Greater Lafourche Port Commission for their support of our program.
And after the break, Hurricane Ida recovery stories from the South Lafourche Levee District. Stay with us.
For more than 65 years, the Greater Lafourche Port Commission has been an important fixture in our community. From humble beginnings in 1960 to a modern-day cornerstone of global commerce, specializing in all things energy-related, we have worked alongside you, our neighbors, and partners to build a brighter and more prosperous tomorrow. Together, we have weathered storms, embraced innovation, and celebrated meaningful milestones. Here's to the past, present, and future of a thriving Lafourche and Louisiana.
Edison Schwest Offshore is more than a fleet. We're an interconnected network of vessels, logistics hubs, and a fast-growing workforce of over 19,000 dedicated professionals across the globe. From the United States to Brazil and the Middle East to Southeast Asia, Schwest provides cutting-edge solutions to a worldwide community. And in the face of evolving demands across the industry, we are committed to operating as the best in the world.
At GIS, putting people first has always been our thing. As we always say, our people are our most important assets. With over 20 office locations, we deliver innovative solutions across 4 key markets: energy, industrial, infrastructure, and power. Our 4 main service groups house over 20 service capabilities, supporting projects from start to finish. We're proud of our legacy and even more excited about what's ahead.
Welcome to Bollinger Shipyards. For nearly a century, our family of skilled shipbuilders has driven innovation and excellence, creating some of the world's most advanced vessels. Today, we are at the forefront of our industry and redefining the future of naval warfare. At Bollinger, we turn challenges into opportunities and careers into legacies. Here, you're part of something bigger. Any yard can build a ship. We don't just build ships. Together, we're building the future.
When it comes to marine towing, Crosby Tugs has over 40 years of experience. We have the know-how to safely assist ships into and out of their berths, escort oil tankers quickly and safely, tow ships, respond to fuel spills, and work in extreme conditions. Founded in 1977 by Vinton and Kurt Crosby, we are one of the largest privately owned marine transportation businesses in the industry. If it's on the water, let Crosby be your transporter.
Sea Level Construction is a trusted heavy civil contractor delivering turnkey solutions to the Gulf South. From large-scale infrastructure and power distribution foundations to marine construction, driven piling, specialty foundations, structural fabrication, structural concrete, site development, heavy equipment maintenance, vessel repair, and inshore tugboat services. We also design and supply helical piles nationwide, delivering reliable foundation solutions. Call Sea Level Construction to set the foundation for your next project.
Hurricane Ida 5 years ago was a gut punch to our local area.
And here are a couple of Ida stories involving the South Lafourche Levee District.
You drive down South Lafourche over time, sometimes you would see signs up, right, when they were doing something that was kind of controversial. And I remember seeing a sign up that basically said, Wendell Curall and Ronald Colley, or, stealing our land. I mean, they had built, not a sign, but a full-body sheet of plywood painted stuck on the back road, taking them to task for stuff they were doing, okay? All right, because some of the landowners or some of the residents didn't like what they were doing. And then on the other side of that, I was in South Lafourche probably 3 days after Ida. We were sitting in Wendell's office on the back road over there in Galliana, and a resident walked in there, and look, the power was out, the building was messed up. We were sitting there with no air conditioning, no nothing, trying to plan out what we were going to do next. And somebody walked in the door and basically kissed his feet and said, "Thank y'all for doing what y'all doing. You never would have survived without it." Okay. And so again, you got to be 100% focused. We're going to achieve this goal. We're going to get this system built despite all the obstacles are getting in the way. That's what I think about when I think about the South Lafourche Levee District.
Of course, the aftermath of Ida, which
there was a lot of, South Lafourche Levee District, the things that they had done with Wendell and, the foresight that he had, they saved tens of thousands of homes, but the response that we had immediately after, we had people down here less than 24 hours after the storm assessing things in conjunction with the Levee District, and we went to work within 36 hours, 48 hours of the storm hitting on the H&C actually at that time, and the amount of work that we were able to get accomplished, in a short period of time and get these. It was still hurricane season, obviously, so get these structures back in place in the event of another storm, and the effort that our team and a lot of the local individuals that we have working for us. Very, very proud of that and being a part of that and seeing the capabilities that we have, being able to react so quickly and put equipment and people in place in such a short amount of time.
It's really, really nice, comforting feeling when we can say, oh, it's just maybe 3 feet of water, or even last year with Francine, it's only 8 feet of water. We don't really have to be super concerned. That's a nice feeling, knowing that we've done a lot of great work in South Lafourche. And of course in Terrebonne too, our partners there and in North Lafourche Levee District. Just this whole region has really taken the bull by the horns and put our own dollars up front to protect ourselves. And so when we get these little systems coming through, it's not like it was, 20, 40 years ago where we had to, put sandbags everywhere and be kind of terrified that we can just let our system do what it was designed to do. So I'm really proud of the great work that we do in South Lafourche and proud of our community too. Just at the end of June, we had on the 27th, we had an election to renew the 5 mil property tax, and that passed overwhelmingly, just very convincingly, proving once again the commitment that the people of our area have to flood protection and putting our own money into the fight, leveraged with other state and federal dollars to make sure that we're protected for the future.
What y'all have built is just unbelievable, and And so on behalf of you and them, thank you to, especially the voters down in South Lafourche.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know anyone who's ever really excited when they start, writing a check to pay property taxes at the end of the year. But there are just some things that we know are important enough to pool our resources together as a community and make it happen. And thankfully in South Lafourche, we've made a convincing stance that flood protection is at that top of the list. It's one of my favorite questions. People will say, in April or May, hey, hurricane season's coming up. What are y'all doing to prep? And it's like, that's not just April and May. That's all year round, right? Our entire world is prepping for hurricanes, and even in the off season, that's some of our busiest times too. So we're never stopping. We're always going to continue lifting our levees higher. We're already an average of 5 feet beyond what Congress authorized us to build to in 1965. And I like to remind people that's not a limit that Congress limits you to. It's just the limit of what the federal government can spend federal dollars on. So we're actually currently working with the Army Corps of Engineers, with the Assistant Secretary of the Army's office up in Washington, D.C., to get Congress to increase those elevations and what we're authorized to be able to spend federal dollars on, because we haven't been able to spend federal money on our system in quite a number of years, which is kind of a positive and a negative, because we don't get federal money, but that means that we've got such a good system. We're way beyond what in 1965 the federal government thought that we would need. I think now that the science has gotten better, we can see that difference between what Morganza to the Gulf is authorized to and what we're authorized to, where Reach L between Pointe-au-Chat and the Bayou Lafourche Ridge, Reach L of Morganza to the Gulf meets up with our system. Reach L is authorized to about 24.5 feet by the year 2085. 1 inch over on our system, we're only authorized to 9.6 feet to protect against that same 100-year storm. So we just know that, look, there were no ADCIRC models, SWAN models, any of that in 1965. They had slide rules. The handheld calculator wasn't even invented yet. So we know that the science and the technology has advanced. And so we're excited about the opportunity to be able to work with the Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority and the Army Corps of Engineers to get Congress that updated information to show that we really do need higher authorized elevations for our system.
We thank Nick and the rest of our guests for joining us this week.
And we thank you for watching and hope to see you next week on Louisiana and Beyond.
Louisiana and Beyond is brought to you in part by Edison Schwest Offshore, Bollinger Shipyards, Crosby Tugs LLC, Grand Isle Shipyard, Greater Lafourche Port Commission, Nichols State University, and Sea Level Construction.